Wednesday.
It is Wednesday the 1st of May and we're not much further forward on the SNP leadership contest.
I'm giving very careful consideration to standing to be the leader of the SNP.
Well, I'm still...
Sir, the man in the other room, and actually I'm a bit unnerved at the moment because I can actually see him on my screen and he has a microphone in front of there, and I'm expecting words to come into my mouth any second now. It's slightly odd. But anyway, Michael's going to be here to tell us about his new podcast series. Karen McKenzie will be here with another humdrum conundrum.
Is it wrong to ask my partner to let me track his phone?
No, I think Karen's going to be right onto this one. I don't know which way she's going to go, but I'm going to predict that she is going to go for a bracelet round their ankle. But anyway, tell us what you think. Text us 80295. Is it unacceptable to track your partner's movements?
1, 2, 3.
Wait. What's the first line again?
Help.
Oh, yeah.
1, 2.
Help!
No, wait.
Sorry.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I need somebody. Help. Not just anybody. Help.
You need some
I need
help with a
some...
purchase gone wrong, then consumer rights expert Martin James is here to answer your questions. Rip-offs, refunds, knowing your rights. Martin can help with all of that. Just give him a call, 08085 92 95 00, or indeed you can text 80295. Standard messaging rates apply. The next room coming up after Brian Adams.
I got my first real six string, bought it at the 5 and dime, played it till my fingers bled. Was the summer of '69. Me and some guys from school had a band and we tried real hard. Jimmy quit, Jody got married. Should've known we never get far. Oh, when I look back now, that summer seemed to last
is before my time. There's not much these days. He has got a lot to choose from, but Michael Spicer says that this is one of his favourite sketches.
Frozen bottles of water?
Who said that?
Somebody said last night, one of these protesters.
Who just said frozen bottles of water?
How could water hurt you? Yeah.
They don't say it's frozen. What?
They don't say it's frozen in a bottle.
The size of a football.
The size of a football.
The size of a What does that even mean? Who is this? Who is this talking?
It's unbelievable.
Move on to cans of soup. What?
And then they have cans of soup.
Is someone else talking to you?
And they throw the cans of soup.
Oh, God, from his lips to his lips. Michael Spicer has attracted a large and a very large and loyal online audience with his The Man in the Room Next Door sketches. And I must correct myself. I think I got it wrong initially. The Man in the Room Next Door sketches. And now he is bringing his humour to the podcast world with a new series called No Room. As I say, he is unnerving me slightly as he sits before me on the screen. Good morning to you, Michael.
Good morning, Kay. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. But as I say, I'm so used to, because I'm a big fan of all your online videos and I've watched many of them. And to see you sitting there with a microphone in front of you, I'm just feeling slightly discombobulated, shall we say.
Kay, I would never have words for you.
Well, I don't know if that's a compliment or not. Have you had any... Have you ever done any sketches with any of our Scottish politicians, Michael?
That's a good question.
Because we've got lots of material for you, Michael. We really do.
I know. I've been watching what's going on and thinking perhaps I should resurrect him. But no, I haven't. That's a very... It's terribly English, I'm afraid. It's because we had so much going on over the last 5 years.
Well, happy to send you some material and see if you can work your magic with it. For those people who aren't familiar with The Man in the Room Next Door, and I can't imagine that there's that many, can you explain a little bit more about what you do and where the original idea came from?
It was... it came about in 2019 when Boris Johnson was running to be leader of the Conservative Party. And he gave a very strange interview where he covered practically everything, including what he does in his spare time. And because he didn't have a human response to that, it felt like he made something up on the spot. So he came up with... he made model buses as a hobby. And it was so bizarre and so surreal that at the first time I watched it, I thought, well, that's almost a comedy sketch in its own right, it doesn't need me. But the fact is that he looked away a lot in that interview. And it's like he was expecting a spin doctor or an advisor to come up with a perfect response to that, which didn't come. So that's what gave me the idea to do it in the first instance, but it never dawned on me that I'd be doing like 75 more. It's just one of those things that took off.
I mean, did you just launch that out there, as I guess you do online? You put stuff out there and you think, well, okay, let's see if this flies. It might and it might not.
Yes, and that was back in... I was on Twitter for about 10 years up to that point where I was just... experimenting, trying things all the time, and some things would fly and some things would get like 10 likes, and it's very, comedy is like that. Stand-up comedians will tell you that you have bad nights and good nights, but this one I didn't even think anything of it. I just loaded the dishwasher that night, went to bed, quickly posted it, and it got 1 million views when I woke up the morning after. So wow. You can't predict that kind of the way people react and share things on social media. So does that bring instant pressure then when that happens? you put it out there like you've put out loads of other stuff in the past, and you've had varying levels of success. But this one you think, oh my goodness, right, I'm on to something now. I have to now trade on this. There was a moment, the 24 hours after that, I just thought, because I've gone viral in the past, and I thought, well, that's fine. That's really nice. I'll get, 300 or 400 extra followers. It's always nice when that happens, but it never changes anything. But that on that day afterwards, the Dalai Lama had a car crash interview with the BBC in which he said that he wouldn't mind there being a female successor, but that she'd have to be pretty. She'd have to be attractive. So people said, "Oh, you should do your advisor for that interview." And that's when I thought, all right, okay, I haven't just got a viral sketch here, I've got a viral character. So I did that one too, and that went off in the same direction. And then suddenly it sort of gained momentum, particularly as at that time you had Brexit, Trump, and Boris Johnson becoming prime minister, and the general election. All those things happened. So, it was very fertile ground.
So did you then have to develop a personality for The Advisor? You've just given me that name.
Yeah, I mean, I've never really given him a name, but yes, he is essentially. I mean, over the course of doing them, he's essentially become a politician's moral compass. He is basically us. He is reacting with his jaw on the floor to the things that are being said, and he's trying to direct things so that politicians come across as human. And that's where the exasperation and the frustration lies, is the fact that they don't listen to him and he's just tearing his hair out. I think that's what chimes with so many people, because we're all doing the same thing as we're watching the news.
And presumably there were particular politicians who you instantly recognised as being, having greater potential for this than others. Boris Johnson, clearly, Donald Trump, who else? And what was it that made them, so good for you?
I think the problem with Boris Johnson and Donald Trump, I mean, the problem for the world, not the problem for me, is that they were off the lead. They couldn't be boxed in by advisors in the same way that Alistair Campbell boxed in Tony Blair and told him exactly what to say, and other advisors since then. So because of that, a lot of other people have felt that they could say what they want, that the public are looking for more honesty. Well, that's fine, but you also need to know what you're talking about, and that they really, really didn't. And of course, you've now got a reaction to that with Rishi Sunak, who virtually says nothing at all. And the only thing he does say, he repeats over and over again. So we've gone full circle, really. But there have been moments where you get people like Matt Hancock, for instance, who are just so hopelessly flustered when somebody throws them a curveball that it's great for me, because he ums and errs and he tries to think of things on the spot. He must be an advisor's nightmare. But as I say, perfect for me.
So are you a comic or are you a political commentator?
Oh, I'm just a comic, Kay. I don't really... Because I see satirists as being like Ian Hislop. I'm not really in that bracket at all. What I do is I just do something, first of all, that makes me laugh, and then hopefully everyone else will laugh. So, but it's just the fact that there's just been so much going on in the last 5 or 6 years that most of my comedy has been about what's going on in the news. But I could try and find comedy anywhere, really. So I think I'm a comedian first and foremost.
Yeah. So, well, you have this new podcast series on BBC Sounds. It's a BBC Radio 4 podcast available on BBC Sounds, I should say. And so it's called Michael Spicer No Room. So we still have a room, but is it a completely different concept? What is it?
No, it's called No Room because the room next door man isn't in it. Right. It's just basically a signal of intent to depart from that character. However, there's still plenty of satire and politics and character comedy in it. There's a lot of frustration and shaking fists at various things that are going on at the moment, cultural changes, social changes. So it is a satire, but there is a lot of entertaining character comedy in there as well. And it is, yes, just me basically commenting on the things that we're seeing at the moment. So if every episode I do a topical sketch as well, I record it in the week. But the rest of the time it is just a comment on what's happening in the world.
And is it just you?
No, well, I've written everything myself and I record everything myself, and my producer, Matt Tiller, sort of puts it all together and tells me exactly what's funny and what's not funny. And then we have a composer, Augustine Bousfield, who's composed some amazing music and some soundscapes, and we lay all the sketches across it. So hopefully it's slightly different to what you might normally expect from radio comedy anyway.
Yeah. And is there a slight level of anxiety? Are you leaving the advisor in his room? Are you locking the room? Are you throwing away the key?
I'm not doing as many as I used to. That's for certain. But I am aware that there are always things going on, and so I will never fully retire him. I will always bring him out for a really good car crash interview or a really good moment of embarrassment for a high-profile figure.
Well, you know, if you do have a bit of spare time on your hands, Michael, and it doesn't look as if you are, we are kind of hoping you're going to do a Scottish series of the man in the room next door. Do give it some
yes, I'd love to.
consideration, would you? The man.
I would, yeah.
Great. Michael, thank you very much. It's really lovely to speak to you. So Michael's new podcast series is called Michael Spicer, No Room, and it is available now on BBC Sounds. Thank you, Michael.
Radio 1's big weekend's on the way. We're heading off on tour. We're going up to Sunderland, cause we've never been there before. The lineup's looking good. They've got some great big names so far. Just hope that unlike last year's show, this time it's a free bar. The Chris Moyle Show.
Let's
It
do
is
this.
just coming up to 10:22. Kay Adams with you till 12 on BBC Radio Scotland. Coming up this morning.
3, 4.
I need somebody help, not just anybody help. You know I need someone.
Good money and you have got a bad deal. Consumer rights expert Martin James is here to help. Any questions at all you have about anything to do with the consumer side of things, rip-offs, refunds, knowing your rights, then Martin has all the very latest advice. You can give him a call on 08085 92 95 00, or you can text him on 80295. And the much-loved Glasgow Film Theatre celebrates 50 years. So how important has it been in fostering a thriving independent film industry?
Havana, ooh, na, na. Half of my heart is in Havana. Ooh, na, na. He took me back to East Atlanta, na, na, na. Half of my heart is in Havana. There's something about his manners. Havana, ooh, na. He didn't walk up with that how you doing when he came in. He said there's a lot of girls I can do
Well, what do we have here?
Mornings on BBC Radio Scotland.
Well, I tried to keep her in the next room, but unfortunately she's sneaked into this room. Yes, she is back, our judgmental friend, Cara Mackenzie, with a wee suntan on.
A wee burnt nose.
Yes.
It's starting to peel. That's so attractive, isn't it?
You've been out in the allotment again, haven't you?
But my hat doesn't quite cover it. You know, those Bill and Ben hats.
Oh, the wee bucket hat.
Yes.
Very good, very good. Well, of course, it's the 1st of May today, so presumably, hopefully, you've been out washing your face in the morning dew.
Can you tell?
Didn't work. I just thought you had a bit of a sweat on.
Yeah.
I was all thought you'd come in the bike.
And I'm sniffing as well. It's always a bit of a rush, and these blinking stairs get me every time.
Yeah.
They don't get easier.
No, they don't.
No, they don't.
But do you do that? Do you do the first? What is it? The 1st of May? Oh, it's an old wives' tale, that, isn't it? About washing your face.
Yeah, I don't have any grass anymore.
Do you not?
No, the hens did away with it. So
Oh, right, they did away with it.
the old.
Are you a fan of the old wives' tale, though? Near cast the clute till May is out.
Aye, now that's not what you think it is it?
It's not what you think
No,
it
I
is.
remember, I've been here too long, I remembered hearing that explanation before. Not from you, I hasten to add.
No, I think it was actually our listeners. I think it was last year,
was
because
it?
I always thought that was until the
Your
month
vest-
of May was out.
I never cast a...
But it's not that. I think it's about a tree blossom. I think it's about the hawthorn.
Right, well, if you'd
I'm
asked
gonna
me that, I would have said,
You're
talking rubbish.
Yeah. And then, of course, the one that I always think of with you, if the wind changes, your face will stay like that.
Oh, it's funny you think that, isn't it? Because the one I think of you is don't pluck out a grey hair because so many more will come in.
Well, I've no idea about that one. I like an old wives' tale. I really do. I really do.
I think, you know, the one that sticks with me, oh, no pun intended, is chewing gum. Have you ever swallowed chewing gum?
Yes.
Oh, my God. That would put the fear of God up you.
I know.
It would stay in your stomach for something like 7 years.
Is that an old wives' tale?
Oh, I didn't just make it up on the spot.
Well, you're an old wife. Come on, it's just factually correct.
I'm no wife.
Let's have some more old wives' tales, will you? 80295. God, my mum had a fund of them. My granny had like 3 times as many. Your favourite old wives' tale in your house that continually gets trotted out. Let's have it. Well, listen, we have got, I was going to say fresh blood in the Humdrum Conundrum today. That's perhaps a little bit kind of antagonistic. But Gareth McLean, writer, is with us. Good morning, Gareth.
Good morning.
Good morning. We're both very well, very well.
I'm a posh radio voice on, you see.
Yeah, it sounds very good. Any old wives' tales to share with us?
Well, my mum always said to me, you'll die alone, you know.
Oh, God, that's... Happy soul, then. Obviously Scottish as well.
Yes.
I think that's just a threat, really, isn't it?
I promise. I don't know.
It's die alone.
Is that an old wives' tale?
Universal truth.
Well, any more? I was hoping that this would cheer the morning up.
Don't die alone.
Not if it's going on.
You've rung the wrong man, Kate.
All right, okay, well, let's hear today's Humdrum Conundrum.
Share the responsibilities of looking after them while balancing work and socialising. I heard from a pal that they had a Find My Friend feature on their phones which tracked where they were on an app. I thought it'd be really useful to know where my husband would be, so I knew where I could reach him if I needed to, or how soon he'd be back from work. And he could do the same with me. It's also really useful if you lose your phone. I suggested to him that we both did it, and he didn't respond as I thought he would. He was dead against it. He kept asking if I didn't trust him or something, and that he didn't like the idea of being tracked. I really didn't think it was a big deal, and I'm absolutely sure he's not trying to hide anything serious, but he really wasn't keen on the idea. I know it might be a bit weird to be tracked on your phone, but surely we trust each other enough to have the option. Is it wrong to ask my partner to let me track his phone?
Is it wrong for me to ask my partner to let me track him on his... Well...
I mean, it's a two-way thing, isn't
she's
it?
clearly a bunny boiler.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Gareth.
No, I mean,
You're new, but you're good.
you think, what's he hiding? What's he trying to hide? No, hold on a minute. We haven't even started yet.
Are you going to try and defend this?
Yeah, I think if you've got nothing to hide, God, it can be such a bonus just knowing where they are. You know, I mean,
Knowing where they are.
yeah, so that in an old-fashioned world, you might say, well, I'll just put the tatties on because he's coming home from work now, so I'll know.
It's not
exactly.
a pigeon.
No, but it allows you time to maybe go to the toilet before they come home or go and have a shower, or just, you know exactly where they... I don't mean exactly where they are, but
So,
you know...
hang on. Oh, Gareth, let's just let her develop this. So you want to know when they're coming home, so you've got time to go to the toilet, have a shower. What are you going to put on a pretty dress and mix a gin and tonic?
I have
What's happening
change
here?
for drinks for the evening. Yes, I just think if you've got nothing to hide, then you share each other's location. It's such a good idea. What if they're away walking or meeting somebody in a festival? If you've got friends in a festival and you think, right, I have no idea where you are. Well, I'm at the Slam tent. I have no idea where that is. So then you can.
Well, hang on, I've got an idea. You could phone them.
Yeah, but you've already phoned them, and it's by that big speaker thing. You think, right, I can't even see that. But if you can track them on the phone, you can see exactly where they are and then walk towards them. It's a good idea. If you have nothing to hide, it's a great idea. Obviously, you've both got to...
She's all yours, Gareth. She's all yours.
Well, I mean, she could get him chipped and just be done with it.
Get what?
Getting chipped.
Oh, is she?
Yeah. I mean, it's called a Find Your Friend app. It's
Yeah.
not Find Your Husband. Your husband is not your friend. I mean, most people that I know that are married hate the sight of each other by the time they've got 2 kids. So I'm just glad of the break.
But no, you're
yeah.
saying that why is it such a bad idea if you've got nothing to hide?
Well, because that's codependency if you need to know where each other is all the time.
You don't need to know. It's just can be
I think-
handy.
No, it'd be very handy. That's what then suddenly you've got them chained to a radiator. You start looking for them. Just look on it occasionally to see where they are. They're not quite where they said they were. Then it develops into an obsession, and then you're not letting them leave the house, and you're paranoid, and that behaviour will lead them to running off with the woman next door or the man next door.
Yes. Well, you've got this all sorted then.
Oh yes. Well, you can see how it might get out of hand, surely.
So would you be happy, Karen, for your movements to be tracked? For Stephen to know where you were at all times?
I asked him last night.
And?
Didn't think he really knew where it was, but he agreed to it.
Did he?
Yeah, he did. No, he has to say, he didn't produce his phone. But now the thing is, I thought it would be quite handy because if he wants to go on long walks and he does actually go away into the mountains or whatever, and then say, I don't know, I would know where he was in terms of, okay, it does sound like I'm a stalker or whatever. But it would I would know when he was on his way back down the hill, or I just think there is not a problem with
people, or are you joined at the hip? What's this coupley-wuppily stuff?
It's not. It's only because he's been...
Because if you flip the genders and it was a man saying to his wife, I'd like to know where you are all the time, then we'd be like, oh, of course I could fall.
But if you're in agreement to this, okay, so Steve and I go out for a cycle run, right, and he's tearing ahead and I'm stuck behind. Then I've got a flaming puncture. He can look to see where I am and think, oh, she's not moved for the last... She's either gone in a ditch.
He could phone you and say, Karen, where are you?
What if you're out of signal?
Well, then
GPS still works.
Well, then that's not going to work anyway.
No, it does. What I'm saying is you might not have a signal, but your GPS, I think, still works.
I mean, I presume it's a long straight road you're on, much like life, on your bike, and you're just hustling towards the end, thinking, where do I go now? You should go back. You would go back, wouldn't you? Turn your bike round, you'd pedal
I hate
back.
having to go back, though.
Oh, you hate having to go back, Karen. Other people are more generous.
But the way you present it, Karen, when you say, well, it's their choice, it would have to be mutual.
Yeah.
But actually it's not, because you're presenting it as, well, if you do not agree, what do you have to hide? So therefore, The only option is to agree, or else you think that there is something to be suspicious of. So even suggesting it immediately diminishes the level of trust that you have between you. And if you do have trust between each other
on the other side
as a couple, then why do you need to do that? If you were at a festival and you absolutely need to know and you didn't know where the big speaker was and you were a wee bit confused, it's quite understandable at your age, then you could have I shown you how to use the WhatsApp pin. You could just do that, and then for that limited occasion you could say, yes, here I am here.
Also, you've got 2 kids. What are you doing at a festival? You should be at home, not ruining it for everybody else.
Well, actually, that's a point, because Lisa, who's just had the baby, and I take Tulip out for a walk, she suggested to me to share my location. Should I be concerned that she wants to know where I am, or does she think I'm running off with the baby?
No, she just doesn't trust you.
Doesn't trust me, so that's what it comes down to.
So how does that feel?
I'm quite happy with that. Because then she can look to see, oh, have I got time to have a quick nap before my mum comes back or whatever? Oh, I have, because she's on the other side of Flaming Glasgow or whatever. So, yeah, I think it... do you know what? I've not got an issue with it at all.
I think it's quite millennial not wanting
Kate's
to
just
speak to people
shaking
on
her
the
head.
phone.
It's quite millennial.
Yeah, not wanting to use the phone for the purpose it's designed for, which is to speak to people. I mean, most problems in relationships are communication problems, and it's better just to ring somebody.
What a great point, Gareth.
And when's the last time you phoned somebody?
Only this morning, I spoke to my mum to tell her I was going to be on Radio Scotland.
Oh,
Yay!
right.
Hello, Gareth's mum.
Another listener.
No, but that is a great point, Gareth. It really is, because instead of, as you say, picking up the phone and saying, hi, where are you? Oh, I'm at Morrison's picking up some milk or whatever, it just becomes this kind of silent surveillance. And actually, you don't bother actually speaking to each other. You're just looking at this little dot on a screen.
I don't agree.
And then they come in the door and it's, well, that was 10 minutes to get here from round the corner. What were you up to?
This is the voice of experience.
Well, I don't track anyone as far as I'm concerned. Nobody tracks.
So you never tracked your children at all?
No.
Look at me straight in the face.
No.
Did you want to, but they didn't agree?
No.
That's a bit of...
We need to put this out to our listeners here. Am I wrong to want to track my partner's phone?
Can we not just put maybe share my location? It sounds nicer than tracking.
Tracking, it is tracking.
Call it what it is.
That's what it is. Yeah. Karen thinks it's a marvellous idea to track their partner's
stop it.
movement.
To share my location with whoever I choose to.
Big sister is watching you.
She is a tracker. Gareth McLean thinks it's codependency run mad.
Oh.
She's not liking this, Gareth.
No.
Thank you. Let's see what you think. You are, of course, our jury, and your verdict is the one that counts. Gareth, thank you very much. Lovely to have you with us. 80295. Am I wrong to want to track my partner's movements?
You're horrible to me.
There's only one answer to this, people. There's only one answer.
If you don't love yourself, ain't nobody gonna love you. Your shit ain't right, what bitch in the right mind gon' f you? That's what they told me then. So I was like, fuck a bitch, I'ma grind on my shine, and time I'ma blow their mind. Oh, now she like me, oh, now they like me. All I want is a bitch, just wanna be wifey. No 3-course meal, all I want is fast food. I wanna have fun, how about a cookie? I love you. I just wanna unbutton your blouse and let the girls out. I wanna f you. Maybe later on, if you're free, you can come to my house only if you want to. We can get freakier and freakier than you've ever been. If you want to. We can get freakier and freakier. You can bring a friend.
From Belize, keep all in the weed. Remy crew got me sweating out a Remy weave.
from Night. My bitch is from the P's, the Baisley. She the project C's. Them hood always bring back memories. They all catch the vapors like, yeah, yo, you remember me? I certainly do. Pull a curtain on a 6'2". For free, she on a menstrual. I promise I don't love him, I don't cuff him, I don't pay a rent to have the next. I'm a pimp with principles, kill him with visuals. My diamonds like Dubai stars,
I don't wanna love you. I just wanna unbutton your blouse and let the girls out. I wanna you. Maybe later on if you're free, you can come to my house only if you want to. We can get freakier and freakier than you ever been. Want to. We can get freakier and freakier, you can bring a friend.
I don't want a relationship, I just wanna have fun. In every position we can come up with till we're done. And my request was to kick your shit in my ear. Like to hear what you're thinking after laughing and drinking. Girl, we can have a ball, yeah, we can do it all. Moonshine, light up the sky at nighttime. With me, anytime could be the right time. I'm sorta impulsive, I'm kinda explosive. Me, you take a little at a time in doses. Don't want you addicted, I just wanna kick it. You can pick the spot, I'll be there with the quickness. Give it to you, girl, when I'm gone, I'm sure you gon' miss this.
I don't wanna love you. I just wanna unbutton your blouse and let the girls out. I wanna you. Maybe later on if you're free, you can come to my house only if you want to. We can get freakier and freakier than you've ever been. Want to. We can get freakier and freakier, you can bring a friend.
Yeah, yeah. This money is mine. Nick. Case forgot. I am that.
Baby, I'm so unconventional.
What a beautiful track that is, isn't it? I absolutely love that track, and so suitable for Karen McKenzie as well. Get your thoughts in. Is it wrong to track my partner's movements? Which does make it sound a bit awful, it's to put that thing on your phone. But anyway, she doesn't like it, so let's wind her up. What do you think? She doesn't see any problem at all. She thinks it's convenient. It's nice to know where her other half is at all times so she can get ready when she knows that he's coming home, that she can get a little fluffy pinny on and, mix a little drink or whatever and iron his newspaper. So do tell us what you think. 80295. She's going to batter me when she comes in. 80295 is the text number. And always weighing in with an opinion on this, though he's really here to talk about consumer things, our consumer expert, Martin James. Morning to you, Martin.
Good morning, Kate. Thanks for having me back.
Oh, not at all. So, is it wrong? What do you think? I know you've always got a view.
Oh, divorce, run for the hills. This is terrifying. And the funny thing is as well, you know she's not really asking. She's looking for permission to do it.
Yes.
But a little bit like that song by Kate Bush, Babushka, this will become a self-fulfilling prophecy because the more he refuses, the more she's going to start poking around.
Exactly.
And it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It will lead to disaster. So I feel the first steps down a very rocky road have already been taken.
I'm with you, Martin. We are on the same page. We absolutely are. But we don't know what our jury will say. 80295. He's always got wise words, has Martin. But his expertise, of course, is in consumer rights. So if you paid good money and you've got a bad deal and you need a bit of help to sort it out, then Martin is your man. He's taking calls as ever just after 11 o'clock. The lines are open now, though, so please do pick up the phone 08085 92 95 00, or you can text 80295. Martin, funnily enough, yesterday when I was on the programme, I think during the news time, I was just kind of looking at my phone on Twitter/X, whatever we're calling it, and there was a post from you, and I thought, that's an interesting situation. What do you do if you are unhappy with a meal out? And of course, eating out now, I think everyone is really noticing it. It's very expensive, and I'm not taking a view on that. I know that restaurants have got increased costs, etc., but the end result is, you don't get a cheap night out these days. And if you're unhappy with it, either with the service or the quality of the food, it's a difficult one. What are your rights in that situation?
Well, I'm really pleased you saw the article because it's one of these things that I was always really interested in. It took a lot of research to kind of get to the bottom of it. Now, like most people, I worked in bars and restaurants when I was younger. I've encountered some really awful examples of human behaviour from people who've come into the restaurants. But as you say, it's really expensive to eat out. And actually, there are lots of things that you can complain about. Now, it might seem really, really obvious, but the main one is, don't do that traditional thing of kind of like eating your food and complaining about it afterwards. If you get poor food, you need to speak to the manager from the very, very beginning. But you know how some people just have nights out that every single thing goes wrong from beginning to end. The booking's not at the right time. You sit down and you're waiting for an hour for the first drinks to arrive. The food comes at different times. The vegan option isn't available for the one vegan on the table. All of these things kind of add up to a bigger problem. So sometimes it's a case of simply spelling out all of the things that have gone wrong, tackling the manager at the time, and also having a chat with the person that you're with or with the group to think what you would be willing to accept if the problem doesn't get sorted out. And that might be kind of like a partial refund, it might be a free round of drinks or some free desserts or something. But as long as you tackle it from the very, very beginning, don't be afraid to walk, though, because that's the worst thing is if you've just been kept waiting forever. So if you are being kept waiting, then just get up and leave and make a formal complaint afterwards. And you might be able to get some a credit for another visit if you can face going back.
But see, that's the thing. It's just so awkward, isn't it, to have that face-to-face confrontation with people. It's subjective, what you think is a poor meal, what they think is a poor meal. They don't necessarily match up to the same thing. You might have other people at your table saying, oh, shush, shush, don't spoil the night, because you will spoil the night, if you have that kind of level of confrontation and, disgruntlement. So are there times that maybe you just pipe down, swallow it and pay up?
Sometimes, yes. I mean, there's nothing I'm one of those people that inwardly cringes if I've got someone around the table who says, oh, I'm going to have a word. Because you just think, oh no, that's going to make it even worse now. But I think this is where we have to make collective decisions. As a group, just say, look, we're not going to make a scene, but then you can just pop to the bar and have a discreet chat with the manager, so it's not in front of everybody, and just say, look, this was supposed to happen. It's kind of spoiled the evening. Is there anything that you can do for us? So it is possible to do it, but you all have to agree collectively, because there's nothing worse. Don't be that person who ruins everyone's nights by making a big deal of it.
And the classic situation now, of course, is, an expectation that you will give a tip, and people will have noticed it, even if you go and you get a takeaway coffee. Lots of the card machines now say, would you like to apply a tip? If you are not comfortable with the service or you're not happy with the service, are you at liberty to give no tip?
Yes, absolutely. I really, really hate this automatic tip thing. I noticed it started creeping into pubs after the pandemic, largely because it was very, very expensive for a pint. Even it's not that much. And actually, you may find that if you look at those receipts, because usually they don't tell you they're putting it on, they'll hand you a receipt with your drinks or with your coffee, and you'll spot that it's gone on. Yes, you absolutely can refuse that. It's not an obligation at all. And certainly if it's a big brand, then you might be questioning why they're not paying the staff as well. So there's kind of like a moral element to it. I would say to people, look, have a bit of change with you, because nobody carries change anymore these days. And if you want to make a point, refuse to pay the service charge, but give the staff the cash, because that's often a better way to do it.
Well, I'll be interested to hear from anyone who has successfully managed to get some kind of discount or redress if they've been unhappy with a meal out. When I say successfully, I mean without completely ruining everyone's night and giving themselves lifelong indigestion. So 80295. But any question at all that you have for Martin, anything that you paid good money for and you've got a bad deal and you want some help with that, then Martin James is your man. Remind me to tell you about my online food shopping, but we'll do that after 11. The lines are open now. 08085 92 95 00. You can text 80295. And I'll leave this thought in your head, Martin. Old wives' tales. Don't know if you'll get any good ones, but Gary's granny used to say that bubble gum was made with cat's tails. Never heard that one before.
That's fantastic.
Who knows? I'm sure you'll have one for us in 15 minutes' time. Martin, speak to you soon.
Guiding.
This is where it begins.
Where passion begins. where inspiration begins.
Where pride,
ambition, discovery begins.
Where discussion begins.
where opportunity begins.
Where potential begins.
Give it out, get it back.
BBC Radio 1, where it begins.
It's 10 to 11, still to come this morning.
A scan is what he needs of his brain. So I'm going to refer him to Glasgow with the plan that they'd come and retrieve him in a helicopter because 2 hours by road is just too far for him to wait.
Yeah, the challenges faced by rural GPs can be very unique. We are going to be speaking to two Scottish doctors who feature in a new Channel 4 series. And using that expression, shining light, I think it would probably apply to the Glasgow Film Theatre, which celebrates 50 years, opened its doors 50 years ago with a screening of Roma, and as part of its anniversary celebrations, Roma will once again be on the bill. And Alison Gardner, Chief Executive of the Glasgow Film Theatre, is with us. Morning, Alison.
Good morning, Kate.
Good morning. And also director and filmmaker Ryan Hendricks here in the studio. Hi there, Ryan.
Hi, Kate. How are you?
Hi. You've got very sort of strong memories of the Glasgow Film Theatre, haven't you, as a young filmmaker?
Well, yeah. For my sins, the very first film I ever made was a very sort of amateur film with using my friends and family to give their weekends and run around the woods in their Sunday best. And we get very ambitious with it, and we hired out the GFT. I mean, it must be nearly 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, everybody turned up in the Dickie Bows and the limousines and whatnot, and we showed this awful film to a room full of about 400 people.
So you had your very own premiere there, yes?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Alison, when we talk about independent film, what makes independent film distinctive?
I think it's unique in terms of its voice and where it's coming from. I think that's really the USP we look for. Is it an independent voice? Is it independently made? It's challenging to get independent film made, but I think it's really important that we support independent films in independent venues.
Yeah, and how difficult is it to survive as an independent venue? What's the trick? Because many have closed, we know.
Yeah, I mean, that's very sad. I mean, we're very lucky here at GFT. We have great audiences and spent a lot of time developing younger audiences and having a sort of broad church around what it is we show here. For example, cult classics, 70mm, free films for kids, great curated seasons, Tarkovsky, Scorsese seasons of the month. So we're really looking at serving a very broad audience.
Yeah. Ryan, as a filmmaker, highly competitive, expensive business, as Alison says. I mean, how important is the independent film theatre sector for you?
Well, it's hugely important. I mean, I had a film called Lost at Christmas that came out in 2020 during COVID, and all the cinemas, all the big chains were closed and never opened, and a lot of the independent cinemas that were in Tier 2 opened up and actually took the film. And to my surprise, they were reporting sort of record attendances in comparison to a lot of the bigger films, more of the Hollywood films that were showing at the time. So that film would never have made it to the big screen without independent cinemas. But I think it also shows there is definitely an appetite amongst audiences for more independent content, and people are getting a bit more jaded with the studio system. Even the chains are crying out for more independent cinema.
So are there almost two film industries, if you like, the kind of Hollywood blockbuster, and it's not just Hollywood, I mean there are other major kind of film industries around the world, but we tend to look to Hollywood, don't we? The blockbuster industry, if you like, and then the independent. Does everyone want a blockbuster, or are you happy to be in the independent sector?
I'm very happy in the independent sector. I mean, who wouldn't like the massive paycheck to go and do a Marvel film or something? But that's a service contract. Yeah, when you're an independent filmmaker, you have a lot more freedom to, express your unique creative voice and tell the stories that you want to tell, and that can reach a much broader audience, and you have a much more diverse catalogue of content that you can show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the streaming services that we see now, do they impact on your ability to get an audience?
No, if anything, it has improved the reach of an independent film. I think there's a lot of people that might not come out to see it on the big screen, perhaps, or people that aren't necessarily aware of it. Because the hardest part of independent filmmaking is, getting the word out. It's the advertising, because we don't have the money to spend on lots of marketing. So, getting it on the big screen is great when you can achieve it at an independent level. But ultimately, the bigger audience is out there is for streaming, and whether that's organically the case, or if that's down to the way the business is run with distributors sort of choosing, because quite often distributors will only take your digital and TV rights. They won't want your theatrical rights, and then you're left with having to try and do a cinema release yourself. Which is incredibly tricky to do.
Yeah. Though, Alison, of course, you want people to come out. You want them to be sitting in the cinema. And we've been predicting the death of the cinema for, how long now, since we had VHSs. And it hasn't come yet, thankfully. Well, what do you think is the enduring appeal?
I think the enduring appeal is being in a room and having those shared collective emotions, and you can't replicate that at home. I think it's really important that you realise that sharing that with other human beings, and I think the pandemic showed us that was what we were missing. And cinema, I think, will survive and thrive, and I think at GFT we are thriving, but we do need people to really use us as well and support us. So we've got a 50 for 50 campaign going just now. So it's really important that people recognise the value of not-for-profit making educational charities, where we show 650 different films a year.
Mm-hmm. So what's your 50 for 50 then?
£50 for 50 years. It's a campaign now, and you get a ticket to a special screening in January the 1st and a named thank you on our website. So get your £50 ready and donate today.
Okay. I'm going to have to say other independent film theatres are available, but anyway, Alison Gardner is from the Glasgow Film Theatre, which is a great success story in the city. with any problems that you have, whether it's rip-offs, refunds, or knowing your rights. If you've paid good money and you've got a bad deal, then Martin will do his best to advise. You can give him a call. The lines are open now, 08085 92 95 00, or you can text 80295. Also coming up,
A scan is what he needs of his brain. So I'm going to refer him to Glasgow with the plan that they'd come and retrieve him in a helicopter because 2 hours by road is just too far for him to wait.
yeah, we're going to be speaking to two of the doctors featured in a new series looking at the GPs who care for rural Scotland.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have searched the whole world over for the great entertainers, and they are finally here tonight. They are world-renowned. They are critically acclaimed. It's
Mornings on BBC Radio Scotland.
Here patiently, which is a first in itself, waiting for your verdict on today's humdrum conundrum. Is there anything wrong with tracking your partner's movements? And yes, she's shaking her head. She's disgusted, but never mind, I've got the microphone and I'm just going to milk it for all it is worth. And Martin James, our consumer expert, is here. So, as I say, if you've got a purchase gone wrong and you want to make it right again, then Martin will do his very best to advise. 08085 92 95 00.
Trying
Boy Meets Girl there with Waiting for a Star to Fall. But why wait for a star to fall when you could just track it? Yes, I mean, track it so that you know what's happening. You know when that star is going to fall, that you are not going to be caught unawares, because that's good, isn't it? That's good.
So
if you know
clearly.
when you can control things, control the situation.
Control's
that you
a horrible
everyone's-
word.
Oh, hello, everyone. How are you? Nice to see you again. Karen Mackenzie's here. Welcome, Karen, again. How are you?
I'm fine.
You had to think about that, didn't you?
No, I'm fine. I'm fine.
You just don't like being cast in a negative light, do you?
And do you?
I'm used to it.
Fair enough.
Listen, we have to. Oh, I've just noticed actually the last time you were here.
Oh, I've got two
You
hands.
only had one hand of nails painted, whereas now you've got them both painted.
Yeah.
So that's taken you a week to do that.
Starting
is
to
it?
chip though.
Oh, really? That's not nice. Chip
No,
nails.
that's an undercoat, 3 layers, and an overcoat.
Really? For
Yeah,
goodness sake,
I
these
know.
are talons that you have.
I know.
No,
No, I know. I need to take them
Listen,
off.
we have before we get to the conundrum, and I
Uh-huh.
have to say, to my surprise, you have quite a lot of support on this.
Ooh, thank
Yeah.
you, listeners.
Yep,
Thank you,
absolutely.
listeners.
But we have some controversy to resolve over what bubblegum is made for, because we're talking about old wives' tales.
Oh,
of course.
yeah, sitting in your stomach for 7 years.
Yes, that's right. And Gary said that my gran used to say that bubblegum was made with cats' tails. Ha 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 ha. Margaret says, my parents used to say that bubblegum was made of horses' hooves, not cats' tails. Can I
Horses'
just say to all
hooves.
bubblegum manufacturers out here, we're pretty confident it's not made of either of those things.
Do you know that
The rubbish your parents tell you when you're a kid.
horses' hooves? Is that not in something else though? That's something
Let's not go there.
parmesan or something? No, it's
No,
not.
don't be saying
no,
that.
I can't. I just know that parmesan's not vegetarian when you think it is.
Wow, the way your mind works, it's incredible. Now, this is an old wives' tale that I'd completely forgotten, but I mean, this is a really, really popular one. If ours was a twist on it, but your hair won't grow if you don't eat your crusts. That came from John.
Your hair won't grow
If you don't eat your crusts from
was
your
it not
bread.
curly?
Curly, that's what it was in our house.
Yeah, curly it was in our house as well. Yeah.
So you needed to eat the crust to give you curly hair. Is that the way you worked it?
If you don't eat your crust, you'll get curly hair. I think it was. Wouldn't have minded curly hair.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
you put a double negative in there, you just
God, I
confused
get
everybody.
confused myself.
You did.
There's something to do with carrots as well, wasn't there? And seeing in the dark.
Eyesight.
Oh, eyesight.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
And with memory.
No, I'm afraid not. We're out of it now. Old wives' tales, keep them coming in. 80295. We might explore those a little bit towards the end of the show, or we might not. Depends how we get on. Quite
Has
frankly.
nobody said that's really eldest? What's the word? What's the phrase? Oh, doesn't matter.
You're really not very
Oh
good
my God,
today,
I'm
are
not
you? I
with
mean,
it
you start
today.
a sentence and then it's just like, oh, well, never mind. Let's remind ourselves of today's
Ageist.
conundrum.
Me and my husband have 2 young children and both share the responsibilities of looking after them while balancing work and socialising. I heard from a pal that they had a Find My Friend feature on their phones which tracked where they were on an app. I thought it'd be really useful to know where my husband would be, so I knew where I could reach him if I needed to, or how soon he'd be back from work. And he could do the same with me. It's also really useful if you lose your phone. I suggested to him that we both did it, and he didn't respond as I thought he would. He was dead against it. He kept asking if I didn't trust him or something, and that he didn't like the idea of being tracked. I really didn't think it was a big deal, and I'm absolutely sure he's not trying to hide anything serious. But he really wasn't keen on the idea. I know it might be a bit weird to be tracked on your phone, but surely we trust each other enough to have the option. Is it wrong to ask my partner to let me track his phone?
Oh, I just hate that passive-aggressive, faux reasonable. I'm sure there's nothing going on terrible. I mean, can't we trust each other?
It's all about trust, isn't it?
No, it's all about passive aggression, and you're really good at that.
I learn from those near me.
Anyway, you think it's quite all right to track your partner?
I think it's... Stop it. You think it's all right to be coercive. I